Story time about my boyfriend's girl best friend. So a little background information, I was 15 and in 9th grade, and my boyfriend Jaden and I have been together for 2 years. In the beginning, everything was great, and then we went over to his best friend's house, which I didn't realize that his best friend was a girl. And at first I liked her. Her name was Anita, and she was super funny, super nice. Well, fast forward, it started to become a routine where he would drop me off at my house, and then I would call him, and he wouldn't pick up until like the third time that I called him, and then he would be like, "What's up? I'm hanging out with Anita." And I felt super weird because while we were on the phone together, him and Anita were in the car just talking to each other, not even acknowledging me. So then the one day I asked him if him and I could hang out, and he said that he wasn't going to bring Anita. Well, he pulls up, and guess who's sitting in the back seat? Anita. And they were playing sexual songs, which made me feel super uncomfortable. And she didn't say one word to Jaden the whole time, but she had so much to say to him while we were on the phone. So like I said, he said that he wasn't going to bring Anita with him, and then he pulls up and guess who's in the car? So fast forward 8 months, Jaden and I are doing super good. And the one day we're driving around and he mentions that he has to pick someone up. Yep, Anita and her friend. So fast forward, we picked them up and I was feeling super uncomfortable and pissed off, because Anita's like rubbing his shoulders and stuff like that. And then they dropped me off at my house. Well, not even 10 minutes later, they get into a car crash. Literally 10 minutes down the street from me, so the girls walk to my house. So we're sitting in the garage, and the girls are talking about how long they've known Jaden for, blah, 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 this and that, and how he drives super careful when Anita's in the car because he really cares about her. So I told Jaden that I'm not okay with him hanging out with Anita. And of course, when I text him, he's drinking with Anita. So then he starts calling me a bunch of names. Jaden and I are still together, and we have a 9-month-old daughter. He still hangs out with Anita, and I still feel weird about it, but I guess I'm just gonna have to try.
Am I the asshole for interfering in the bouquet toss at my girlfriend's sister's wedding? My girlfriend, we'll call her Maggie, and I went to her sister's wedding on Sunday. It was a great event, and things were going really well for most of the evening. This was the first time I met Maggie's mother, but I had already met the rest of her family. When it came time for the bouquet toss, Maggie was one of the ladies in the group to try and catch it. I thought I had an opportunity to be funny and lift the mood, so I stood behind Maggie and slapped the flowers to the ground before she could catch them. I don't know if she actually would have been the one to catch them, but I did it anyways. I was doing it as a joke, which I thought would be obvious to everyone. I was like 0.0001% serious. I'm actually not interested in marriage. I'm in my 20s. I really had no bad intentions and wasn't trying to upset anyone. I thought I would get a good chuckle from the crowd. After I slapped the bouquet to the ground, there was an audible gasp from everyone around, followed by an awkward silence. I was a little embarrassed, but I laughed anyways to try to non-verbally show everyone that it was a joke. Nobody laughed. After a bit, the moment had passed, and everyone was starting a big dinner. Nobody talked to me, and I was getting a couple of sideways glances. Maggie's mother eventually pulled me aside and, very respectfully, asked me to leave, to which I obliged. I didn't want to cause a scene. A few weeks later, my girlfriend and her sister are over it, but the mom still seems weird about it. I haven't spoken to her since then. Was this an asshole move, or was it just a lighthearted joke that was misinterpreted?
I'll never forgive my oldest brother for doing this. Now granted, I don't tell a lot of stories about my oldest brother because one, most of them be a little bit illegal, and so he's a wild card. So I remember when I was younger, I was like maybe around like 9 or 10 years old, I had this irrational fear that someone was gonna break into my home. And I was gonna be the only one to wait till I defend my people, my family. And I don't know why. It was like so bad to the point where like I would stay up every single night till like 3 in the morning, even like on a school night. So I remember my mom and stepdad, they left them like a Thursday. So I still need to go to school that Friday morning. Right, mom and stepdad left. And she left my oldest brother in charge. Now I don't know why. My twin brother was actually at my dad's house. So it was just me and my oldest brother at home alone. I thought that shit was so cool. I'm about to spend time with my brother. No, honey, no. It becomes like 1 in the morning, right? Or I may be like around 12, right? And my oldest brother comes into the room. And he's like, "Hey, Monet." And I'm like, "What's up, bro?" And he's like, "I'ma need you to do a favor for me." And I was like, "Yeah, what is it?" And he hands me the house phone. And he's like, if I call the house phone, I'm gonna need you to answer. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, where are you going? It's like middle of the night. And he's like, no, Monet. If I call the phone, answer it. And if you hear me just breathing on the phone, I'm called 911. So now I'm freaking out. Because I'm like, oh no. I'm like 10 years old. Like, what do you mean? What am I supposed to tell the police? Like, what do you mean? What are you what? So he's like, not telling me any information. No details, nothing. And he's like, just call the police if you hear me breathing on the phone. And that's it. So then I'm chasing him, like almost. He's like, all right, let's that be. And he gets up and walks towards the front door. So I'm chasing him, and I'm like, no. What do you mean? Like, what no? What are you about to do? Like, I don't need this kind of stress in my life. So my brother literally just leaves, so now it's like 12. I'm staying up until like 3 in the morning. I didn't get a week of sleep because I'm worried about this boy. He had me worried, like a muffler, and I didn't like that. So as I'm like, getting close to, maybe starting to drift off to sleep, the phone rings. So as the phone rings, I pick that hell up, and I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Are you okay? Do you need me to tell the police? Like, what's going on? And he's like, breathing on the phone. He's like, ha ha. And it's like, I can hear footsteps. He's like running, and I don't hear nothing else, so I'm getting ready to like, hang up the phone and call 911. And all I hear is, and he's running. And I'm like, do you need me to call the police? Like, what's going on? And he's like, don't call the police. He's running. He's like, I'll be there in a second. Don't call police. And don't open the door for anybody. And I'm like, no, what's happening? And he hangs up. So now I'm so worry. You know that irrational fear I told you all about. So yeah, I used to like have little stashes of like weapons and like supplies. Because the fear was so bad, I really thought somebody was gonna break into my house at any given point in time. So I went to one of the stash areas, and I've had like this little metal rod that I got from like a broken window. Don't do that, mind you. And I was trembling and waiting for my brother to potentially come back home or not. So as I'm trembling, all of a sudden, I hear banging at the door. Boom, boom, boom. So then I go to like where the stairs are, and I don't go all the way down the stairs. I'm like at the top still. And I'm turning. I turned on like the light. I didn't know what to do, to be honest. And I have the house phone in my hand, and I'm getting ready to call the police. And all of a sudden, I hear like somebody trying to open the door. And it's like, you're jangling to the knobs. So now I'm currently 911. And before I get to the 11 part, my brother comes barging in, and he's like, comes and he closes the door, and he leans up against the front door, and he's like, no, and I'm looking at him like, are you okay? I'm like, what? What happened? What? Are you okay? Do I need to call 911? And he's like, oh my god. Well, next, oh my god. He's like trying to catch his breath right. So I'm like, no, what happened? It's 3 in the morning. Please tell me what happened. And he was like, I was getting chased by some dogs. Huskies they were. They were getting my ankles. What are you? Sir, hold on, backtrack. What are you talking about? And he's like, so I had to get he's like, so this morning, he's like, I'm telling nobody. But I had to get my Xbox back from my friend. But we're like not on the coolest of terms right now. So I had to get it the back way. And I'm like, what do you mean the back way? You stole that back. Why did you? I'm like, at this point, my brother's still a teenager. I'm like, you couldn't have told mom about this. Like, come on. You couldn't. There's no the solution now. You got me play secret agent with the house phone and this like barbell that I have. Like, what are we doing right? So he got my yarn thing messing up. That's the spirit of my brother. So I'm like, I'm about to beat him up at this point. But I can't because he's like so much bigger than me, and so I don't win. And he's like, hey, listen, you don't gotta go to school because I know you stayed up all night worrying about me. So he's like, you just go back to bed now. I'll tell mom something. And I'm like, oh, well, that's more like it. You should have probably started with that, to be honest. And I'm probably would have been more inclined to help you. So yeah, I didn't end up going to school that day. And yeah, my brother, he got his game back.
So this is a personal story time. It's not one that you guys sent in to me. It's personal, and it's about the time that my whole grade basically had to run from the cops. Okay, so where I live, we don't have a lot of house parties. Like, people would just kind of invite their little friend group. And so when we want to have a big group of people party, we have a big, like, open space out in this valley. It's big, like, open in the trees, and people just party in the forest. I'm so mad that TikTok took away the fucking 10 minutes. Now I have to, like, rush and probably make 2 parts. So me and a group of girls who wanted to, like, set up the party, because we bring lights, tables, like, all that out there to the forest. It's a 20-minute drive. 30 minute drive. So we go out there and we have all this stuff and we're starting to set up and everything. The party's gonna start in like an hour less. I never blend in my foundation with just a brush, so that's what I'm gonna try to do today and see how I like it. So we go out to set up the party, and I brought a table and these like super cool lights I got off Amazon. And while we're setting up, we see like some flashlights come and we're like, fuck. So some flashlights come and we're like, who the fuck is this? This better be like another person coming from the party, and they're just showing up like weirdly fucking early. It was not another person from our grade. It was the park fucking ranger coming to say hello. And it's this really fat, short man. What are you doing in my forest? So the like 6 girls out of there, we freeze and we're like, nothing. And he's like, all right, you got like 10 minutes, pack your shit and fucking leave. So we get our shit and we leave. We text the big group chat on Snapchat of like most of the people in our grade. We're like, yo, do not come to place, like, got busted, go to this other place, which is another open park area. That's always our backup plan in case whatever happens just happens. But what happens, like, the first place getting shut down doesn't happen until like 12:30 when there's a noise complaint. So the fact that he came before we even started, somebody snitched. So we're like, nope, point A is fucked, let's go to point B. I'm rushing this and I might have to do a part 2, I'm so sorry. So people go to place 2, start setting up. Cool, we get there, bring the lights, the table, everything's great. Woo, lit, party, crazy, lit, crazy movie party. And so this one's more in a residential area than the other one, so noise complaints here are a lot more common. So our speaker dies, and one of our friends is like, oh, I have a generator at my house. I live 10 minutes that way. I'm gonna go get it. Cool, problem solved. So he goes to get the generator, and we're like, fuck, he's been gone for kind of a long time. Where is he? And someone checks the group chat, and they're like, he texted that on his way back. He was like, the cops are coming. There's like 12 squad cars coming to where you are. Okay. All right. So picking up right where we left off, he texts the group chat. Someone sees it, and he's like, bro, there are 12 squad cars coming to the location of the party. Like, fuck. So the guy who checked the group chat stands on the table, like the big table in the middle of the thing, and he's like, the SWAT team is coming. So everybody's like, what? They all look down the road, and in the distance you just see like a mirage of red and blue. We will, like heading in our direction, and everyone's like, oh, fucking great. So everybody drops their cups, everyone drops everything, just like runs. And where it was, so okay, let me paint a picture for you. So there's a long road that goes into this parking lot, and then next to the parking lot is this giant open space, and it leads to a hike. Like, it's the base of a hike, so it's this open space, and we're surrounded by like rolling hills. So me being a runner, she's a track star, books it up this fucking hill. The rest of the people in my grade go that way, up, down, left, right. Like, everyone just runs. And so, hello? And so then the cops finally get to the area, and obviously they just see all the garbage on the ground, and we went back to pick it up the next morning, so shut up. They see all the garbage on the ground, and they're like, okay, obviously there was a party here. Where did they go? So me and my friend, we are hiding in a bush up on this hill, looking down and just seeing flashlights like scan the entire area. I'm going to blend my concealer in with a brush. That is something I've never done before. Well, so we're going to see how that goes. So just imagine like 200 kids all crouched up on this mountain while at the bottom, like, the police are walking towards up the hill, shining their flashlights, and everyone's like, oh shit, and, like, it was, like, red light, green light, where you would, like, the flashlight would kind of turn off, and you'd walk a little bit, and then the flashlight turn on, you'd stop, and then go on again, or go off again, you'd walk a little bit down the hill, and, like, try and go around where they are to, like, leave! I don't know if this is the right brush to do this with. If it's not, let me know, please, thank you. So we're playing a fucking Squid Games where this bitch would, like, go. And so it gets to the point where me and my friend are like, okay, we're gonna make, like, a giant leap towards the bottom of the hill. So we start, like, kind of jogging down this hill. And jogging downhill is fucking hard. And yo girl hits a stick. I start rolling like a fucking roly-poly. I roll down this hill. My friend and I finally make our way back to the car and go home. And I am bruised, scratched to the fucking max. I didn't get caught, but I know some kids did, and did get a fine for beveraging. And yeah, that was that.
I remember when I was younger, my mom used to take us out almost every single weekend to go look at new model homes. One, because we didn't have shit else to do back in like 2009 or whatever. Two, my city was like a really small city. It was under development, so there wasn't really anything else to do besides look at model homes. So this one particular weekend, though, was the craziest weekend I think we all had collectively together. So my mom took us out. She took me, my twin brother, and my oldest brother, my stepdad at the time, to go outside the city to go look at these houses, right? So we drive out of our little city, past another sub-city to where we had to get gas, and then we go into the middle of nowhere where the model homes are. And when I say middle of nowhere, I'm like Courage the Cowardly Dog type B, where there's nothing but a lot of houses and nothing else for miles. So when we get in there into the office, there's like a lady and a man working in there. And so the lady's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we'll totally like show you around. Da, da, da. So she shows us around. We look at like 3 homes that they had available. And my mom's like, all right, like, can we just take a look at can we just look around ourselves? Like, we'll be back in the office later. And the lady was like, of course, like, if you need me, I'll be in the office. So me and my brothers, we took this as our opportunity. We was like, let's go find our room. So I find my room. My brothers find their rooms. And they're like, this is my room, my room. And then my mom and stepdad was even getting to it. They was like, this is our room, baby. You know what I mean? So I remember after this, we all had sat down on our beds, right? I shit you not. We blinked. I blinked. And I was on the bed. And when I blinked to blink my eyes back open, I noticed like I was asleep. I had fell asleep in the bed, right? So I'm waking up. I'm scratching my head. I'm fucking confused because I'm like, what the hell just happened? That wasn't even like a normal kind of slumber. So as I'm waking up, I'm scratching my head. I'm dazed and fucking confused. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, did my family just leave me here? So I get up and I go into their rooms, right? And I look and I see that everybody's like collectively getting up at the same time. Everyone's getting up, scratching their heads, looking dazed and confused like I was. So I go into the room, into my mom's room, and I was like, hey mom, what just happened? She's like, are you okay? Like, she was scared. She was like, are you okay? And then my brothers come running out of their rooms because it was like on the other side of the house, running to my mom's room. My brothers were like, hey, what just happened? Are you guys okay? I just woke up and I have no clue what the hell is happening. So we're all looking at each other like, what just happened? My mom looks on her phone. She sees that it's been 2 hours since we originally arrived. And my mom's like, what the hell? She was like, let's go to the office. I need to talk to the lady. So we go into the office and the lady's not there. The door's open. It's not like there's we're out for lunch sign. The door's open. So since the lady wasn't there, we all decided to just sit in the car and wait for them to come back. Because my mom just assumed that they went out to lunch or whatever, right? We waited for like 20 minutes, bro. They did not come back. The man or the woman didn't come back, but the doors were open. So we just decided like, all right, let's just chop this day up to an L and let's just go back home, right? So as we're going back home, we need to get more gas. So we stop at that sub-city that we had originally passed to even get to the middle of nowhere for where the model homes were. So as we stopped, I gotta go pee. So my stepdad gets out of the car. He's trying to pay for the gas, and I'm like going to the bathroom. And as I'm coming out of the bathroom from the gas station, my stepdad's like, nobody's in here. And I'm like, I look at him like, what do you mean? And he's like, nobody's in here. He's like, I've been yelling for like the past however long I was in the bathroom, like 2 minutes or whatever. And he's like, no one's in here. And he's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So he goes back into the car and he tells my mom, like, hey, nobody's in the gas station. My mom's like, what the hell do you mean no one's in the gas station? And then at that point, we noticed, I don't think there was really anybody in this little sub-city, right? And it's not like it was deserted. We stopped there prior to go get gas anyways, right? So we're like, there were people here when we originally, like, stopped here in the first place. So we're like, what the hell? Like, where is everybody? I literally saw somebody like across the street, right? So I point out and I'm like, hey, there's somebody right there. And my family, like, we nosy. So we all like look out the window that I'm looking out of and they're like, nobody's there. And I'm like, what are you like, I'm looking dead at the person. They're just walking on the sidewalk. And I'm like, they're literally right there. And my family's like, we literally don't see anybody there. Like, what? So my stepdad, it's like it's just one of those places where they don't have like a card machine for the gas pump thing. So we had to like drive and just like kind of like drive on hope and prayer, low key, to get back to another gas station, to be honest, because that subsidy was like the only thing for miles. But yeah, it was like nobody was in the city. Everybody was gone. And I just, to this day, like I'm thinking, I'm like, did my family really just gaslight me into thinking nobody was there to just be funny? But they don't be doing stuff like that to be funny.
Am I the asshole for uninviting my cousin, brother, uncle, and dad to my wedding over a prank? I, a 22-year-old female, grew up in a family where men prank and tease each other all the time. Ever since my fiance, Tim, a 23-year-old male, and I got engaged, my cousin, brother, dad, and uncle joked about running some tests to see what type of man Tim is. They've done stuff like forcing him to play chess 4 times in a row. They pranked him by forcing him to play chess 4 times in a row, secretly slashed his tires to see if he'd fix it himself like a man, or get help like one of those lazy guys. They asked him questions like what jokes he'd tell his future mother-in-law, his opinion on abortion, Jesus, gender equality, etc. They also tested his fishing and hunting skills, overwhelmed him with hypothetical scenarios to test his decision-making / mental skills. They kept calling him slow and soft, but he has a medical condition, and then in brackets it says asthma. They, however, just think he's making excuses. I demanded they stopped, but my dad said that it's just typical stuff men challenge each other with, and said that I was ruining the fun. Last week, they took Tim on a 3-day trip and hid his inhaler. He left them and returned home and told me. I was seething after he said they admitted to hiding it as a challenge. I exploded on them when they returned. My cousin asked if little Timmy ran to me to tattle. I yelled at all 4 of them that they are uninvited to my wedding. My brother freaked out, saying it was a prank and they were going to give it back. My dad said they'd apologize if I insist, but Tim will have lost the little respect they had gained for him, and in their eyes will always be the soft college kid.
It's a wrap.
I called him and the others awful, then I left. My cousin is begging that we talk. My uncle has been quiet, but my dad is so mad, and he's getting my mom involved to get me to reconsider this decision. But I keep refusing to re-invite them. My mom is saying that I'm exaggerating and should let bygones be bygones and not let this ruin my relationship with my family. Am I the asshole for making it my hill to die on, or am I exaggerating?
Oh, no!
The drama in my life right now isn't even mine. It's like the shit I overhear in the school bathroom, and now I'm like invested. Yesterday I was in there minding my business, doing my business, and these 2 girls come in, not to use the bathroom. What they were talking about was wild. Now, before I continue, I'm not judging. It's your life. You do you. It's just crazy to hear. Now, I know a decent amount of people in my grade and the grade below me. So, then these people I didn't recognize, so which means they were like freshmen, or maybe sophomores, but probably freshmen. So this one girl's like, oh my god, like, I like your bracelet, or like something. She gave her a compliment, and she was like, thanks, like, I got it yesterday. Oh, where'd you get it? And she was like, oh, I stole it. And I was like, oh, okay. Stealing is not that uncommon, so that wasn't the big shock. And then the other girl was like, oh, it's so cute, like, do you think you could steal me one? The other girl was like, oh yeah, like, I can steal it after school, like, isn't your birthday soon? Like, it can be your birthday present, we can, like, do it together. And I was like, oh my god, that's a really interesting way to bond. And then a third girl walks in, and she's like, yo, not saying names, I got your shit. And then one of the girls walks away, and then the other 2 girls start making out. Again, you do you, like, pop your pussy in the school bathroom, but they were like making out, and I'm sitting there like, they start doing whatever they're doing, and I'm sitting there like, fuck, I can't leave the bathroom right now, that's like weird. So they finish sucking face, and one of the girls is like, okay, like, I love you, bye. And she leaves the bathroom, and then another girl came in. I could tell because I was washing their shoes. Another girl came in and starts making out with the girl that was just making out with the other girl who just did the drug deal with the other girl. And they're like smacking on each other too. And then the new girl who just came in is talking about some like, oh, is your ex still bothering you? Like, God, she's so annoying. And the girl's like, yeah, she was just in here, like, stalking me. Like, it was so weird. I was like, oh, you, what? So then I come out the bathroom, because I've been in there for a really long time, and I'm like, I give her, like, the, like, smile, you know what I mean? And she was like, hi, and I was like, hi. And then I went back to class, and now every day I've been looking at everybody's shoes trying to figure out who the fuck these girls were.
Am I the asshole for honestly telling my girlfriend what I would change about her? I watched a TikTok where a couple asked each other what they would change about each other, and they both said nothing. They're both perfect and that they love each other very much, etc. So I thought, let me try this with my girlfriend, without filming, of course. She said, quote, I wouldn't change anything about you. Maybe I would make you less anxious about everyday stuff so you wouldn't suffer, end quote. He continues on. He says, it's true. I tend to be very anxious and obsessive compulsive sometimes, but I'm dealing with it. Then she asked me what I would change about her. I went on to tell her I would like her to have her old body back. He says, meaning before the pandemic when she was more muscular and a bit thinner.
That doesn't help.
Also, I told her she could be less hairy in some areas, like her face and arms, and I wish her hair was more cared for. I wouldn't change anything fundamentally about her appearance. Maybe make her legs a little bit thinner, but all of my requests are very much achievable with a little effort. She didn't seem to appreciate my comments. Her expression changed and she locked herself in her room without saying anything. We slept on different beds, and the next day she told me something very hurtful. She said, quote, I don't think that your appearance is perfect either.
Good.
There are some issues, but I love you enough not to pester you about them, end quote. When I asked her what she meant, she replied that she wished I followed her skincare advice to get rid of my acne and that I would work out with her more. I told her the difference is that I was honest and she lied. She didn't say anything about it, but it was pretty obvious that she had been crying the whole night. She went to her sister's house and hasn't been responding to my messages. So am I the asshole?